Holy cow. Well, we had the final regular season of the NFL, and then it was Black Monday, so I'm recording this in the wee hours or early Tuesday morning before I upload this, and wow, it has been more busier than a New York subway station. A lot has went on, and let me say this. My team, the Chiefs, are pretty much dead and buried this year. They're 6-11. They lost their last six regular season games. And Patrick Mahomes, ACL, hopefully he can come back better than ever. Next year, we have a top 10 pick in the NFL draft. Maybe Travis Kelce retiring because I don't want to discuss it. Stop. No. And then I'm going to bring up her name. Just forget it. I'm moving on. And so, I'll watch the Super Bowl this year. My heart won't be in it. It'll be mainly for the commercials. But other than that, let's talk about what has went on. With Sunday's game, we'll talk some about that and about what happened after some Sunday games and Black Monday. Okay, first of all, let's talk about the Raiders. Well, the Raiders beat the Chiefs. And so somehow they secured the number one seed in the number one draft. They have the number one draft pick, what I'm trying to say. So they secured the number one draft pick. And that's great news for the Raiders because the last time they had the number one pick, they picked a future Hall of Fame quarterback who led them to a couple Super Bowls and several MVPs. What? Oh, that's right. 2007 to Marcus Russell. It's one of the biggest draft busts of all time. And so, well, having a number one draft pick, it can be a crapshoot. Sometimes you can get a future Hall of Famer. Sometimes you can get one of the biggest draft busts of all time. It just depends. The number one draft pick isn't a correct science. It could be an incorrect science too. So, sometimes you just have to take your chances, and sometimes it works, sometimes it don't. It's like going to the casino in Las Vegas. Sometimes you're going to win big, sometimes you're going to lose big. It's a crapshoot. Okay, and also they fired their head coach after a 3-14 season, Pete Carroll, and I was flabbergasted. I was like, wait a minute, Pete Carroll? I thought he was with the Seahawks. And I go, oh, that's right. He left the Seahawks, which was not a wise decision there. He left the Seahawks to join, the Raiders, and then after one season, they canned him. And Pete Carroll, maybe he should hang it up because after a 3-14 season and 10 straight losses during the season at one point, maybe coaching has passed him by. It's very possible. It's very, very possible. And so, you know what? Let's see, what do we want to discuss next? Let's discuss some more firings. Let's discuss, I really don't have much to say about this next one, but Jonathan Gannon of the Arizona Cardinals, a very short stint there, only 3 years, 15-36. The Arizona Cardinals is not one of the desired coaching positions, so I don't know what they're really going to do with that one. I don't really have a lot to say about Jonathan Gannon. So we have much to say about that. So we're going to move on to let's see, to the Falcons. Yes, I have a lot of notes here, and I have to go over see what I want to talk about next. I have a specific order I want to do it. And the Falcons, what? Yep, the Falcons is an interesting franchise to say the least. And, well, after 2 seasons, they went ahead and fired Raheem Morris, who had back-to-back identical 8 and 9 seasons. The Falcons never wanted Raheem Morris. He was like the prize in the bottom of a cereal box. Do you really want it? Well, not really. But you go ahead and keep it around just because, like, hey, I want a free prize. That's pretty much what Raheem Morris was. Because when the coaching vacancy came up, they went swinging for the fences. They went after Bill Belichick, Jim Harbaugh, Mike Rabel, and they got none of those. And Raheem Morris was the prize at the bottom of the cereal box. They didn't really want him. They really didn't want him. But they had to fill their coaching vacancy with somebody, and that was Raheem Morris. Raheem, I think, will land somewhere else. I really do. I think he will become, if he's not a head coach this year, he will be a head coach next year. He will land somewhere else. He's not a bad head coach. He's just in a bad situation. So I think that he will land somewhere else and maybe have more success than he had with the Falcons. Okay, let's see. Let's discuss Josh Allen before we get into some more. Josh Allen, why was it so important for them to make sure that he kept his consecutive game streak alive at 135? This is a weird rule that they have in sports. And like NASCAR, you can do one lap and you're credited with a start. When you do baseball, you can just go in for like one pitch and you're credited with a start. The NBA, you just go in for a few seconds, you're credited with a start. It's a very weird rule, to say the very least. I don't like this. You can take one snap in NFL and you're credited with a start. Do you realize you could be a starter for 20 years and all you have to do is take one snap, and you're credited with a start? That's what Josh Allen did. Was it that important? Because you could get flukes that happen. You could snap the ball, hand it off to the running back, and blow an ACL, or you could twist your ankle. And I don't think it was really worth it. And I'm not a fan of this to begin with, because I remember when players played all the games, or 14 games, or 16 games, or 17. They played all the games no matter what. They took every snap, unless it was a blowout. That I can understand. And they would take every snap and stay in every play. I'm not a fan of this. I never have been. I just don't think it makes any freaking sense to do this. I really don't. On a side note, the Bills beat the Jets 35-8, and I have my brain's a train here because I want to talk about the Jets, but I also want to talk about the Steelers, because I wonder if the Jets regret handling the situation that they did with Aaron Rodgers, who went on to the Pittsburgh Steelers, who led them to a 10-7 record, an AFC North title, and Aaron Rodgers defied Father Time. You know, he didn't have a great year, but hey, at 42, he had a damn good year at that age. And I wonder, do the Jets regret how they handled the Aaron Rodgers situation? Because it was handled all really awful, horrendous. I mean, Aaron Rodgers didn't even know he was being let go by the team until he saw it on TV. That's pretty bad. And that was they handled that situation pretty bad. And the Jets, well, they're 3-14 also, and they have a record nobody wants. Nobody. You couldn't do this on Madden, even if you had all the defensive settings on 0. It would be that hard to do. They, in 17 games, they had 0 interceptions. 0 interceptions. The Cowboys over here, they had some intercept. They even intercepted some passes on defense. Because that's what I want to talk about next. It's the Cowboys. Wow. What? Yeah, I know. I just did a video on the Cowboys. Why have they failed for 30 years? And here we go again. I feel like I'm just piling it on with the Cowboys. If you're a Cowboys fan, I apologize. Your team is falling so far from the dynasty of the 70s with the doomsday defense, and the 90s with the defense they had there, winning 3 championships in 4 years, and then you have this team here. Wow. They gave up over 30 points per game and over 500 points. Wow. And I talked about this with Jerry Jones about how the game is passing by, just like with Pete Carroll, is he doesn't know how to build a championship caliber team. Stop, pretty girl, stop. She was playing with my tripod, she still is. So he don't know how to build a championship caliber team. And it's clear with how bad the Cowboys were on defense. Were they any good on offense? So what? Somewhat. But defense, they were just horrendously bad. Okay, where are we in our video here? Boy. It looks like, yep. Just a cow? Stop. Stop it, pretty girl. I love you, but you can be a brat. So, just a cow. We are officially in the part of the video I don't enjoy, but you tend to enjoy. Yes, we're going to pile it on with the Browns. Oh boy. First, let's start off on the highs. The highs of the highs. Myles Garrett, who quietly in Cleveland, I know, mistake by the lake, has quietly built a Hall of Fame resume career while being in Cleveland. You're in one of the worst franchises, if not the worst franchise in the NFL. You're one of the worst franchises in the history of sports. So you're in one of the worst franchises, and you're quietly putting on a Hall of Fame career besides his rookie year where he didn't get 10 sacks. But every year since then, he's gotten 10 sacks. And you sort of saw it coming with Myles Garrett, having 10 here, 12 here, 14 here, 16 here. And you sort of saw it coming that he was going to break the single season sack record at some point in his career. And he did. He broke Michael Strahan and T.J. Watt's 22 and a half sacks. And he ended up breaking it with 23. And he's the best player on the Browns. It's not even close. It's not even close who the best player is. It is Myles Garrett, who somehow has built a Hall of Fame career while playing with one of the worst franchises in the history of the NFL. Oh boy, yes. What should we do first? All right, we'll talk about that. It's going to be tough because all this intertwines. All right, let's see. First of all, we'll talk about the Browns head coach. They ended up firing Kevin Stefanski, who was one of the longer tenured coaches in Browns history, which doesn't say much. He was there from 2020 to 2025. He had a couple of 11-win seasons, but overall they went 45 and 36. I'm not sure if they should have fired him this year, but be that as it may, he will land a job somewhere else. There's already talks of him maybe going to the Giants or somewhere like that. So he will land somewhere else. There's no question about it. It's just a matter of when. I think he was just in a situation that he couldn't win with Shadir Sanders. He got a lot of special treatment in Colorado. Okay, I'll get to that in a minute. Jumping ahead here. All right, so he fell in the rounds considerably bad to the 5th round, 144th pick. And people were like, well, why is he falling so far? And they thought this was because of Deion Sanders. I don't think it had anything to do with Deion. I think it just people weren't impressed with how he played in college. I think that was more so than anything else. So he fell in the rounds. He finally did get his chance to play. And in his starts, up and down, 3 and 4, 57% completion percentage, 7 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. So it wasn't the greatest. And the Browns are already considering moving on from Sanders. The Browns quarterback, it's more busier than an intern's office of people coming and going. The Browns quarterbacks, there's been so many over the years. I could do a video on why did it fell, but that would be a 10-part series. I don't really have time for that because they've had a lot of quarterbacks since they returned to the NFL. There's been too many to name. And you know what? That's all I have to say about the Browns. What? why do I want to talk about Deion Sanders? All right. Shit. So, the fans, the Browns have fans? News to me. So, some fans are clamoring for the Browns to hire Deion, which sounds like the greatest ideas of ideas. Because no matter how bad Sanders plays, Deion's not going to bench his own son. That's why it's such a bad idea. Is because that would give favoritism. Deion's son is playing, and no matter how bad Sanders plays, Deion ain't going to bench his own son. He will not do it. It sounds like the worst ideas of worst ideas. It's up there with horrendous ideas. It's a bad idea. And I hope this does not happen because I do not want to see all the favoritism that would happen with Deion coaching his son in the NFL. He could have a 7-interception game and Deion would not bench his son at all. This could potentially be a train wreck, a huge train wreck. The Browns haven't seen a train wreck like this since Hugh Jackson. So if they hire Deion, they are going to get a train wreck, a huge train wreck. Are the Browns prepared for a circus with wherever Deion goes in the NFL? Now the Browns haven't commented on this, the GM and the owner and all that. They haven't commented on this. This is what the fans are wanting. The fans are wanting a train wreck. They're wanting Deion to show favoritism towards his son because he would start every game whether he's injured or not. It's a horrible, horrible idea, and I don't think the Browns should even consider hiring Deion. Let Deion stay in the college ranks. Even though Deion has shown interest to coach in the pro ranks, I don't know if he's going to succeed at that. He's barely done okay in the college ranks. The pro ranks, stay away from it. Stay away from it. Well, just a cow. Anything you want to add on one of these long videos? Yeah, pretty much all NFL. Didn't really have anything else. Did I make any mistakes? No? Anything you want to add? Yeah, I know. Bad Bunny's gonna be at the halftime show of the Super Bowl. Great. It's gonna be one of the worst halftime shows ever. Me and Mom are saying that's all for now. That's all for now.